Hello, welcome to Indiecent. I am Lamar the Frog. Joining me today is Darkside.
Hello.
And Elmo 3000.
I played Sudoku Quest this week because I long for the sweet embrace of death.
How was the sweet embrace of death?
I'll tell you when I get there.
Not working yet, huh?
No.
Damn. Here is the podcast, because there's not enough of those, where we play video games and talk about them.
Also, pardon if I'm a little out of it. It's Thanksgiving weekend, so I've just been doing things that don't have much to do with anything. I'm just sort of zoned out at this point.
Also, forgive me if I cough horrendously during this. So, that'll be fun. For today's episode, we played my pick of video game, which was 140, a game for PC, and I think that's... I don't know if this is on anything else, but a PC game on Steam. Its normal asking price is $5. It is a rhythm-based platformer in which the electronic music in the song that plays in the background changes the different layout of the level, and it has different platforming puzzles to kind of go through. It's very minimalist in its visual design, but nice and elegant in that, and now we will open the floor for talking about things.
It was a good game, and fuck that final boss.
I agree. I think we'll get there when we get there, but the basic mechanics of this are very, very simple. It's move with the arrow keys, jump with the jump. You do that in order to collect these little circular nodes that will shift the level in different ways and make different stuff move, and as you do that, it changes the track with it, the track being the background music that plays, and different parts of the level design, like platforms or hazards or obstacles, will change as the music goes through, and through its different parts.
I'm looking up the name of the designer, because I keep forgetting his name, but it's the gameplay director from Limbo, and I
did not know that.
I just really love that fact for some reason, because it's just... They're
diversifying your assets, I guess.
They are both minimalist platformers, but 140 is very colourful and very musical, and Limbo, is not.
Depression.
Yeah.
And fucking bear traps. And
yeah. It's Jeppy Carlson, that's the name.
Nice.
It's probably not Jeppy, it's probably Jep. No, I'm saying it wrong. I'm sorry,
See,
Jep.
it all comes full circle because we mentioned Inside the other time.
Yep.
It's like
no
poetry, sort of, they rhyme. So yeah, I guess we will just ask general thoughts upon this game. I thought it was pretty good stuff. My biggest complaint... We'll get to the final boss thing later, because that was a little... I think that's its own can of worms, but I really liked the way this game sort of set up its design. I think the minimal aesthetic really works for it well, because you're basically just like a little square or triangle jumping around doing things, but it's very elegant in how it does that. If I had one big complaint, it's that the game is really short, but I also am glad that it's able to restrain itself and not stretch out these mechanics for more than they're worth. But also the asking price is pretty low, so that didn't bother me too much that it clocked out at an hour or so.
Yeah, it's basically just a weird little indie experiment, but it was really well done, and I'm glad I played it. I just really like the concept that you can keep track of the beat and the music to figure out when something's going to happen on the stage and move past it. I've seen some games try to do that before, but they've never actually accomplished it like this one does.
Yeah, one game I'm going to make a point to mention, and I don't mean to just shit all over random people's games. No, not Beat Trip Runner, I like that one. But a game with a similar, I don't want to call it a gimmick because that's a little reductive, but has electronic music playing that changes the level, was Rush Brothers that someone got me once, and that game is a little too sparse in terms of game feel and how the levels are set up, so you can't really get a flow going, or can't really, the rhythm affecting the platforming does not actually help you in any way. So I feel like this game did that a lot better in terms of presenting the information, making you know what you're getting into, and also making you have to predict based on the music and running ahead to do these different platforming puzzles.
Yeah, I think we're really underselling just how well it does it. I actually got so caught up in the second and third level that I was nodding my head with the beat and rhythm, trying to physically tell my body when I should do something.
And then it turned into that Osu video where people start dancing. Elmo, what were your thoughts on 140?
I really like it. It's a really good game. I think it's a tiny bit too short to be ranked up with like the legendary Steam games like Super Meat Boy and maybe The Binding of Isaac.
Yeah,
and
definitely.
Maybe Limbo.
Go ahead. Sorry, did I cut you off?
No, and maybe Limbo. But then,
Mm-hmm.
ooh, there's a link there.
See, it's all connected. Yeah. It's like a circle.
I really like how
time folds in on itself.
Yeah.
The Berenstein Bears became the Berenstain Bears. And
I like the way that when you grab those little items and it upgrades the music, it doesn't feel like 10 different tracks, even though it is. Because in one level, it just kind of feels like one complete track, and you're adding new elements to it.
Yep, going off on that, actually, one thing that I found really, really cool, which I appreciate a lot, is if you fuck up, and it's basically one hit, you're dead, but checkpoints are very, very generous throughout this game. But if you like fall off or hit what is this game's equivalent of Spike Pit, which is like the static noise kind of thing, if you hit one of those, it plays like a distorted thing and puts you back to the checkpoint, but the distorted sound is actually its own version of the song you're playing to. So even when you're going through, it's like the rhythm is there, and it's not like this in-your-face, ha, fuck you, you lost. It just keeps the flow going, so you can get right back into the game that you want to be playing.
Yeah, I really appreciated that a lot. There was never a moment in this game where I felt like it was cheating me or being unfair, except for the final boss, but we'll get there. But what I really liked about it most was actually the style of it. I'm a big fan of minimalism, so much so that when I had to do an assignment talking about a piece of art I saw at a museum this semester, I picked out just a giant white canvas with a black square on it. It's named after a German god, and just went on for about 1,000 words.
Oh my.
Wow.
But yeah, there's definitely a nice... This game uses its simplicity in a very good way, and it's not like it's just plain background, plain, like, neutral color for the square, and then some walls or shit. It does adapt and change throughout it going through, and like the little transition when you bring the circles over to their sort of feeding point to shift the level has like this really cool transition as the new colors spread out and go everywhere, and you get things like a little equalizer moving in the background with the music, so it makes sure to stay colorful and interesting while still being very basic in its design.
It also feeds you a lot of information very easily in the simplest ways, like you can tell when a moving platform is going to stop based on color. You can tell when something isn't quite right in the level because you're hearing the beat and rhythm go, but you're not seeing anything change, so you have to pay attention. Like in the last level when those shrinking and growing squares appear and they're the same color as the rest of the area. There's also just basic circle, square, triangle shapes for your avatar that tells you what you're currently doing at the moment. Stuff like that adds a lot.
It makes things like your jump arc be very, very apparent, so if you screw up or if you do something correctly, you know exactly what you did. So there, in that way, the very simplistic way it kind of puts it out.
Yeah,
it communicates a lot to the player very, very easily. It makes it look pretty effortless.
Yeah, I really love the platforming in this game. It's very, it's hard to, well, it's not, I wouldn't say precise because I've played precise platformers and they usually suck. But it feels very natural. It's not too floaty, doesn't have too much momentum in the way you move from back and forth. It just gets the right balance.
Yep, it doesn't feel, it's, I found the game to be pretty easy, but for what this game does, I think that level of difficulty was perfect for what it was doing, because it's not like walk in the park, you don't have to apply any thought whatsoever. It's actually the thought and sort of puzzle aspect of it is what really makes this game shine, because you got to be paying attention to the music and what things change and what things don't. Like there's some where there's these noise bars kind of going vertically and stuff that alternate with the beat on like the kick drum, So you've got to try and like sneak through these and know when that instrument is going to hit, but it's very, very clearly communicated, so you can get through that pretty well.
I like the final boss. I'm just gonna throw that out.
Are we getting into this?
Mr. Contrarian over.
10 minutes in and we're already talking about the final boss.
First Ricky Gervais and now this.
This is what happens. Everything gets too real. So
yeah, I'm kind of expecting this to be a short episode, since this, like, normally when we play short games on here, they're usually narrative heavy, so we have a lot to talk about. But yeah, this one, I think if we're gonna get meat out of discussion, we have to talk about how it makes all its different design choices.
Yep, it's funny where we normally go full narrative. This is full mechanics, basically.
Yeah.
Unless you make up your own story about Johnny Triangle Square going around and becoming a circle.
Actually, on a serious note, I think there's some interesting thing going on in the imagery, like all the static representing some sort of void, or like not necessarily a void, but like a corruption in something modern, if that makes sense. It's hard to.
I mean, I can. Coming from a bit of a different perspective for that, a lot of the static is basically straight noise in contrast to music.
Oh yeah.
So
yeah, it's like
it's a really cool way that it kind of presents all this, where it's like music is sort of the core tenet that makes this game move forward and sets up the pace for it. So it's also the failure, and like that's why it has the distorted version of the song if you hit the static and everything, which is really cool.
So it's not that you lost the level; it's that you interrupted the song.
Yep.
Nice.
Yeah,
And
sort of
even
like
then,
Beat Trip
stays
Runner,
in
except
flow.
Beat Trip Runner's kind of bullshit because it sends you right back to the fucking start every time you mess up.
You gotta go fast.
Oh man, I love Bit Trip Runner too.
I like Bit Trip Runner.
I have tried playing that game so much, and it just drives me insane every single time.
There's definitely something to be said with the benefits of generous checkpointing in 140.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and you even get to see what it's like without the generous checkpointing if you do the 3 bonus levels after you finish the 3 main, which are basically just the original levels mirrored, and now there are no checkpoints.
Yep. If I had to, if we alluded a bit to the boss fights, and if I had one, I guess like other than the length, which we already said, but if I had one big complaint, it would kind of be the boss fights, because I like the mechanical shift of them, but some of them feel very underutilized, I suppose.
Yeah, like the first one should have the way it works feels like it would have been more appropriate for the last boss than the actual last boss we got.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think the second boss should have been first, the last one should have been second, and the first one should have been last, but harder.
Basically, to describe each of the bosses, the first one is sort of, there's this floating thing above you, but at one point in the song, like each measure, I think it is, it'll shoot like a laser beam up. You have to sort of time that while dodging stuff, and I really enjoyed that one. That was definitely an interesting boss fight that kept things like tense enough and had enough on screen, but not to a point where it was like unreasonable or too difficult or wasting your time. The second boss fight is kind of like almost like a Galaga ship section where you kind of need to dodge these things, these triangles coming at you in the shape of like triangles in the shape of triangles. I are good at English.
The best words.
But that go with music. And then the final boss is sort of your piece becomes a triangle around a center point, and you have to use it to turn and shoot different things that are coming at you from different sides of this square. And the third one fucking sucks. I guess on the thing of the final boss, the problem I have with it is I really liked it at first. I even liked it when, basically the big thing with that is there are these snare hits in the song that shift where you're pointing, so you need to time it right. And I was fine with that. Where it got to be a problem is when the things you're supposed to hit come in way too quick for you to possibly react or know where you need to be pointed, and then have your thing be reoriented by the song.
Yeah, I noticed that, and it gets really bad on the third part of that boss, because then the background is shifting at the same time, and you have to keep track of another pattern on top of all this.
Yep, where it's like, it was doable. It didn't take like, once again, this entire game took like It took me about like 45 minutes, I think. It's not a very long or necessarily very difficult game, but that felt a little more tedious than what it was worth, in my opinion.
Yeah, I can't remember a boss that's left me that angry in a long time.
I was never really like angry at it, but I just got a little irritated, I suppose, where I'm like, fuck, why does this have to come in so quick? It's not even like I'm bad at this, I didn't do it fast enough. It's like the directions the arrows are pointing are really hard to like see until the split second that you have to have your input in. So
yeah, it was hard for me to figure out where I would place this on a list of things that have made me scream at video games. I think I would put it just under getting mad about playing Super Smash Bros. Brawl online on my terrible internet connection, and of course my legendary almost breaking my controller playing the Incredible Hulk Ultimate Destruction on the PS2.
Oh my god.
Let me tell you,
to be fair, Brawl, even on the best internet connection, was not very good.
Yeah, but let me tell you, do not ever play the Incredible Hulk Ultimate Destruction on the PS2, because that game is actually kind of broken.
Oh shoot, that was the first game I was going to go run out and buy tomorrow, actually.
Yeah, what happens is if on one of the later levels, there's... You know how most video and action games, when you trigger like a cutscene, quick time event sort of thing, it's considered a free action and nothing happens to you?
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't happen in the Ultimate Destruction. Enemies are constantly pelting stuff at you, so there's this one part where you're stuck behind a barrier getting pounded with Hulkbuster armor units, and if you try to do a special move to take one out quickly, they're all still attacking you and damaging you during this process.
So it's a Fallout game.
No, it's worse, because there's no way to kill them efficiently otherwise.
Jesus.
And you are also trying to destroy a generator outside the shield, so you can break the shield by throwing things at it, and you have a finite amount of things, and the throw targeting is just bad in the game, so it is an endless swirling of hurricane of frustration.
Yikes.
Yeah, it's a bad game. And I was playing on easy.
So that was less annoying than the final boss of 140?
No.
Or was that the more one?
That was the more one.
Okay, that's good. Yeah.
This one didn't get me that mad, but it came close at times.
I think the only reason I really didn't mind the final boss fight is because I did play this game first a few years ago, and I did the bonus levels. And if you think that final boss is difficult
with checkpoints,
then going through the entire level without dying, getting to that boss, and they reversed the directions as well.
Oh god.
I have no idea how I did it.
So let me tell you about another music-based game that's really good that I said I was going to plug before we started recording.
Yeah.
Thumper is a new game, and it's really, really good. It's about going down a track super fast. It looks like Audio Surf when you look at it, but gameplay-wise it's nothing like that, and you have to kind of react, dodge, and fortify yourself against things that are oncoming. It's really fun, really crazy. It makes my eyes hurt if I look at it too long, and I can't imagine playing this with the VR support because I think I would go blind. But
and it's also supposed to be like a horror game?
Like a little bit. It's got like a creepy atmosphere, but I wouldn't call it full-on horror. It's really cool. Like the design of this is just super fun, even just to like look at. But
yeah, I've seen some.
They added
it's
a
like
hard mode actually. They added a hard mode now where there are no checkpoints and all the levels are harder and faster.
Oh god.
It's fun. It's great because things in that go on, like levels in that game are like 20, 30 minutes sometimes.
Oh,
so if you fuck up, this actually happened to me in a call of people where I just had a loud outcry of fuck when this happened because I'm at like the third to last section of it, going gold and then get hit twice and die, and it's like, well, I can't complain because I signed up for this, but god damn it.
Oh god, rhythm games are for masochists.
Yeah. It's not Bit
I
Trip
still love the
1.
one, I think my favorite picture about rhythm games ever has to be the one where it's like, would I what I played, Rhythm Heaven Fever, what I expected. It's the picture. It's the commercial of Beyonce playing Rhythm Heaven and laughing and having a good time and everything. What I got, and then it's all these screenshots from Whiplash.
I have seen that image so many times, and it's so true
so
every time.
I've tried to play Rhythm Heaven so many times, and it's so true.
Rhythm Heaven is so good and pure joy distilled into a video game once you get good at it. But or like once you get past the really difficult points, but sometimes that can be very hard with how much they expect you to do. It's so good though. It's like happiness in disc form or download form now because there's the 3DS one, but whatever. Rhythm Heaven's good.
It's not Bit Trip Runner, but there's this other rhythm game named Bit Trip Beat. I don't know if you've seen that one. You're just a disembodied pong paddle flying. Okay, I'm not sure if you're flying to the right or if dots are flying towards you. It's basically...
Oh, shit. It's a matter of perspective.
Yeah, it's basically Pong, except with lots and lots of balls, and they don't really bounce off anything, so you just have to deflect them back. But you also deflect them back in tune to music, and it's really good. But there's a mode of that game where it's like... Come and think of it, that game just has 3 levels as well. 3 levels and boss fights.
Huh.
You just reminded me of a game I looked at for my Steam Shifter series, where I look at badly and mixed rated games on Steam. And
one of them kind of games on Steam.
Actually, I found some good ones that shouldn't have been rated as low as they are. Like this one called Bad Hotel. It's basically a pretty good tower defense game. And the reason people seem to hate it so much is because it sold something different than what it actually was, because the advertisements were making a big deal of like being inspired by the Wu-Tang Clan and having some sort of experimental world-changing musical system in it, when all that really happens is when you put down a unit, a new piece of music starts playing with the unit, and it adds up and sounds like just a bunch of noise.
I'm looking at this and it looks like that. Shoot, what is it?
It looks like
that one. It's like a PS1 game where I think it's called like It's like One Piece Hotel or something that has nothing to do with the show.
Yeah, that's on PS1. It also looks like My Life as a Teenage Robot. It has that art decal thing going on.
There you go. Those pastel colors.
Wu-Tang.
Ain't nothing to fuck with.
Wu-Tang. I don't actually know any Wu-Tang songs. I just remember that one tweet where Joe Biden says his favorite album is Liquid Swords.
Liquid Swords. It's too good. Biden grabs the mic and screams Liquid Swords. What we're saying is 140 would be significantly improved if it had Wu-Tang in it. This is already a good game, but it would be even better if... Put that on the back of the box. If this had a box. Has Wu-Tang in it. Using what else?
I can't exactly plug it because I haven't written it yet, but I'm just going to say I am totally going to write like a Bit Trip Beat versus 140 blog.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, look out for that in 8 months.
By the time this comes out, it might be there. Oh, okay, never mind.
It almost certainly won't.
And for December, I'm going to write 4 different articles on weird fetish games.
Oh boy.
There's one I found where you are a vampire ninja, and the more bondage gear you get, the more superpowers you have.
It's Kill a Kill.
No, it's actually somehow even more ridiculous, because you get them when you beat a boss, you actually get to keep them in a fucking torture room.
God damn it.
But it's not like hardcore torture, you just these are it's just weird. It's weird.
I see.
I don't know
like
how
that
to
phrase.
describe
It's
it.
not like hardcore torture.
It's just like softcore torture.
Oh yeah, the same
like
person
regular.
who made that game also released something on Steam called Cinderella Escape. That is actually a good game, but it has the exact same problems and weirdness in it. It's also the Steam release is censored, so I went on my way to get the R18 patch, and then I discovered it's not anything explicit at all. It's just weird.
I see.
It's like, it just makes me wonder what. Like, you can actually get captured, but you can. There are like knights in some levels, and you run into them. Like, what's supposed to be sex animation happens, except everyone's still fully clothed, so he's just like randomly dry humping you in an awkward position.
Oh boy, it's the return of Ride to Hell Retribution.
And then of course there's or sometimes your character will get on them and will just be doing something. I don't know.
Doing like they do on the Discovery Channel.
Yeah,
I'm wondering
pretty
what
much.
Steam's guidelines even are for this shit, because now we have genital jousting on Steam, a video game about dicks playing soccer and fucking each other. So
As long as it's not a vagina, it's fine, I'm sure.
there you go.
You heard it here
Sexism.
first. 140 is a better game than Ride to Hell Retribution.
There you go.
But you know,
140 is better than a lot of games I've seen.
Oh man, I'm sweating.
I'm not going to keep going on about Bit Trip Beat, but there's just one more thing about it. You know how in the bonus levels of 140 you have to beat the level with no checkpoints and things.
Yep.
In Bit Trip Beat, there's a mode where, again, it's only 3 levels, but you have to beat the 3 levels in a row.
All at once.
All at once.
There it is.
So it's like 45 minutes, and I did once try it and die on the very final boss, because it's really kind
They did
of
that for.
luck chance based.
And now I'm trying to think if they did that for Thumper, and it's like 4 hours of playing that game.
Oh man.
Oh my
Yeah.
god, I would probably go blind.
The final boss in
I
Bit
know I
Trip
always say that, but that's just because that game has so many particle effects and lights and lasers and everything going on at all times. I'm like, Jesus.
The final
What am I
boss in
looking
Bit
at?
Trip Beat is actually really great, because the entire game you're like, oh wow, this is kind of like Pong, and then the final boss actually is Pong. But then once you score 5 points, the enemy paddle splits in 2, so you're like, oh, this is a bit harder now. And once you score
Also-
another 5 points, it splits in 2 again, so there's 4 of them. So
Also,
it's
weird
really
thing with-
difficult.
Also, weird thing with 140. Now that I'm thinking about it, I think I didn't like the second boss more than the third one.
Honestly, I can't. Oh yeah, the where you're going down the hall and
Yeah,
you
we're
just-
going down the tunnel and you gotta dodge the things, because which ones would go is often a crapshoot or just trial and error.
Yeah.
It's not that hard of a boss, though. I didn't have much trouble with it once I figured out what it wanted me to do. It's just kind of like boring. It felt like a down step from the first boss, and of course the third boss is terrible. So just like,
Yeah, I think the first boss was definitely the best one, but like with
Yeah.
the third boss, I was fine with it, even when it got like the 2-step shoot thing. But it's just that last section of the third boss is where it gets really, really dicey, I think. Because everything is, you have to have like this split second to react before it shifts over, and you got to be thinking about that.
I audibly had to
Music.
make my own cues during that. So as I was playing, I was speaking out loud numbers to keep the beat.
What do the numbers mean?
God, there was just so much information I had to take in all at once during that fight. It was so obnoxious.
It's the rhythm, it's the beat. You gotta feel it.
There is kind of a trick to the boss, where when the, I don't even know what to call them, when the triangle things, when the Doritos that are about to hit you, when
About shooting Doritos.
when the
so you don't
when the
eat them.
Doritos first come in, then before the background distorts and changes, then if you aim straight for the Dorito and then leave it, then the background changes, but it normally changes so that when the snare hits in and when you change direction too, then you'll hit it.
The problem is that only
Amazing.
works half the time because you're
Yeah.
also doing the 1-2 change, so you have to keep that in mind, which is annoying.
Yeah, to be honest, like, ignore everything I just said, because you'll just get into the routine of, okay, do that, now switch to your strategy, now,
Except for the one time it doesn't work.
yeah. I think that's probably how I beat it when I did it on the bonus level. I just got really lucky.
Just
Bunch of
hope
times in a row.
eventually it'll be fine. A million monkeys on typewriters will eventually.
Oh,
It's kind of interesting that we're seeing so many rhythm games these days. Now that I think about it.
I mean, I think this one's a little older,
Yeah.
so.
No, I mean just
Actually.
in general, because like you brought up Thumper.
Mhm.
There's been a lot coming out in the last few years that have been pretty successful, like Audio Serve for one, Beat Trip, and all that. I mean, Bit
Yep.
Trip.
Rhythm Heaven's back, which is
It's-
cool.
Super
I find
Mixtape
this
just
weird
came out.
because I find
When's Guitar Room Man coming back? Sorry, I cut you off.
sorry, I was just saying I find it kind of weird because this genre seems like it would be more of a casual, wide audience sort of thing, but it doesn't really work on phones because
You gotta hear
not
the music and know
yeah,
it
not
listens to
everyone
on
has
phone
headphones to use for these type of games. So a lot of people just don't bother with games that require sound to play them.
Yep. And instead, I'll just keep playing hours and hours and hours of Tap Tycoon. I still haven't stopped playing that for some reason.
I started playing Sailor Moon Drops again.
Is that like a match 3 thing? Or?
Yes, and it is also Living Hell.
Ah, gotcha. See, I had a few months where I played a lot of Puzzles and Dragons, and while I like the match 3 stuff of that, all of the free-to-play stuff is what kills it for me. So apparently, the 3DS version actually balances it in such a way where it's all the fun parts without the bullshit. But I'm like, I can't have that one on my phone, and I'm not bringing my 3DS in public because people will judge me.
Yeah, phones have pretty much destroyed the handheld, haven't they?
Until the Switch switches the Switch.
Yeah,
Put
I
that
don't
on the
think
back
that.
of the box.
I
The
don't.
Switch will switch your Switch.
I'm making a porn series called Switch.
There we go.
It's about
Put it
two
on-
girls
put-
that are switches.
Put it on the Switch.
Is it
Look
better
that
than
up,
Vita
kids.
Hell Retribution?
I still love how I had to make this comment when the Nintendo Switch was announced because like the controller things are called Joy-Cons, and I'm like, that sounds like a sex toy. It does.
It probably is.
This isn't like
Get your Joy-Con.
Joypad or like Gamepad or joystick or whatever that have like just a level of ambiguity to them. This sounds like a thing.
God.
Important discussions here on Indiecent.
Joy control
We've truly
fetish.
gotten. Truly,
Or
we
they-
were the Indiecent.
Joy control fetish, where where one person is domed by someone controlling their level of joy. In order
With
to
the
lower
Nintendo
the
Switch
joy,
now available on.
in order to lower their level of joy, they remind them of the episode of Futurama with the dog.
Oh.
Aww.
Why?
Just on cue.
Oh no.
It's been a decade,
Wait.
guys. Come on.
Does this mean we
Too
are the
soon.
Joy-Cons? And you are the Joy-Dom? You just depressed us.
It was us. We were the
Why?
Joy-Con the whole time.
This is turning a bit meta.
Since I brought
In
it
short,
up, I just
a
want to.
140 is the score that I would give 140 on Metacritic.
Since I brought it up, I'd like to continue with that mobile discussion because I think it's weird just how much it's affected the entire industry.
Oh, absolutely. I think it's a funny thing where people kind of turned their nose up, including Steve Jobs when he was still alive, was like, nah, games on phones aren't going to be a fucking thing. And they totally were.
Yeah,
It's had both positive and... Oh, sorry, go ahead.
yeah, it's weird because like I have a bunch of games I need to get through, like to earn actual money, but I keep finding myself going back to really simplistic, free-to-play stuff on my phone, and some of it is just perplexing for me to have, like one where you have to tap on things and then you can make the anime boys wear dresses.
There you go.
No, wait, that's four. There's 4 different ones of those. Of that.
Only 4.
Oh, there's another cross-dressing game they made, but it doesn't work that way. It's just where you unlock more of a manga and something.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's the mobile industry is a very strange thing where it's really interesting for stuff like licensed products and everything because with ballooning game budgets being what they are for most major game studios and stuff, you can't exactly have like movie tie-in games like you once could, even back as far as like the PS2 or like the Xbox 360 generation. Those were like, well, they were still going on a lot during like PS2, GameCube, and stuff. In fact, that's probably where they were at their highest. But started to fall off around the previous PS3 360 kind of thing because not as much return on investment on that. But now you can put out like a match 3 or like a card collecting or like a clicker thing and actually be able to get that pretty easily without a lot of money going into it.
And unfortunately, it'll probably go to someone like EA who will just make things miserable.
Hey guys, remember Zynga? That was just the Zynga thing was one where it's like back then we all knew at some point it's like this company is not going to stick around. At least not with the current management or how it in the state it's currently in. There's no way they're going to maintain this, and they could not.
This it just brings me back to remembering that it's weird that rhythm games seem to be kind of thriving a little more than they have in a while, even though the current climate isn't really built to support them anymore.
Yep, I think that's just a thing of getting so many more games out by smaller groups and everything. Because if you went to like an Activision or something and said, "Hi, we want to make a non-Guitar Hero," well, yeah, like we want to make a non-Guitar Hero rhythm game or something, they'd probably be like, "Well, fuck you, get out."
Actually, they a few years ago they would have said, "Okay, let's do it." And what type of gaudy instrument can we sell with it? That's why basically. DJ Hero happened, and then the entire market just evaporated.
What was a really weird one where I can't really give a good opinion on this because the tiny little bit I played of it out at someone else's place was not great, but I didn't really learn it. But the new Guitar Hero is really, really interesting.
I bet it's also bad because the main gimmick is video crowds or something.
The video crowds are actually done pretty well, which is surprising. Like there's a certain cringe level cheesiness to them, but it's like for what they are and the fact that you're never looking at that anyway, it's like actually works pretty well and seamless with how it adapts to how you're playing and all that. The thing I can't get used to is the how they changed the controllers for it. Because now it's 3 buttons and you have like a high and a low for them.
Oh.
So it's kind of like 6 buttons. It's like imagine the first 3 frets, and then next to it another first 3 frets, so you can do kind of like quote unquote bar chords with it. Which is really weird. I didn't have enough time to kind of get used to it, and I was so used to the old style that I can't really comment on it. But that's an interesting one where this is a thing that bugs me personally, but I understand why they did it. Is they limit how songs are played, so they have kind of like this ongoing radio streaming thing, which is which you get different credits for by like playing the game or like putting forth a really small microtransaction, which is really interesting to me because it's like, oh wait a minute, this is Guitar Hero by way of Spotify, which in a party setting where people are just gonna play whatever and all that kind of makes sense for how people play this game. It's weird.
It's kind of amazing how Activision keeps putting out massive, big selling properties and no one remembers any of them. Like, even Call of Duty is just barely a blip on the radar to most people's consciousness.
Those games still, they kind of hit a dip around like Ghosts, but I think they've been coming back. Not Advanced Warfare, whichever, Infinite Warfare, the most depressing title ever, I heard was doing pretty well.
It has Jon
Which is
Snow
sad because Titanfall 2 is so much better, but
Titanfall 2 bombed.
It makes me so sad because that's a good game. But
Watch Dogs 2
they released
too.
it. They released Titanfall 2 at a very bad time.
Watch Dogs 2 also seems to be bombing too, which makes me sad because, like, the first game was just terrible. Yeah, like it had the worst, dumbest vigilante story ever, and now Watch Dogs 2 is here, and you hang out with a guy wearing a cybernetic emoji mask.
Yep, it's like it's really funny to me because Watch Dogs 2, everyone I've talked to who's played is like it's actually kind of fun. It's like it takes some fun jabs at the San Francisco Silicon Valley tech bubble, which definitely could use a little slap on the wrist, and also just like has fun with itself, which is wild.
Yeah,
unfortunately, that's not being picked up as much sales-wise because I feel like a lot of people were burned on the first one. Because I know me, at least, I did not play Watch Dogs 1, but from the reception of it, I was like, well, fuck, I'm not buying a second one of these.
Yeah, everything about that first game just. Oh, and did you know one of the head guys on Watch Dogs 1 was apparently a Gamergator?
Yeah.
America.
America.
I don't want to
So
go
yeah,
back
140.
to the. I don't want to go back to the 140 final boss again. But there was one thing about it that I just remembered, and I just laughed really hard when it happened. Because obviously, like we've mentioned, there's a very strict kind of timing. You only have a few seconds to react. Then I remember when I replayed it a few weeks ago, then I began to think, hey, maybe when the Doritos come flying in, I'll just press the pause button. And I was playing on the controller, and I just thought, hey, I'll just press the pause button, see if pause works, and see if I can.
The game.
Yep. You press the start button, and the game's just like, fuck off, shuts down.
That's
amazing.
That's actually so evil. I kind of love it.
It's once again, this game is so minimalistic where the only button starts the game. That's one of the funny things. It has like a little launch window that has like your monitor resolution and all that, but when you go in, it's only press to start game and nothing else, and the rest is just done mechanically through it, which I think is really cool for the kind of game it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's neato.
Yeah.
Just don't try to pause it.
Ever.
Yeah, I'd like to see more weird rhythm games like this.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, like less thumper and audio surf, and more like taking a traditional type of genre we already know and then making music to focus on it. Like, actually, I think there was some sort of first-person shooter rhythm game or something, like called Zodic on Steam or something like that.
I'm not sure.
It's like some sort of heavy metal opera thing, and it's like, I want to see more weird stuff like that come out.
Nice. I mean, it's definitely an interesting take on rhythm games and stuff. As much as I love straight up, like, hit the button to the time of the thing or do these in time to the music, it's kind of cool to see sort of a traditional like platformer done in this sort of way with this style, because that style is so keenly executed and so pinpoint, where it's like, all of us have kind of expressed that we feel like the game is kind of short, but the nice thing about it being short was that there's not really any fat to it. You don't need to redo the same thing over and over and over again, which, once again, I do feel like the game is a little too short given what it is. I would have liked to see more, but I mean, when a complaint is I would like to see more of something, that's probably a good sign.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think this was a really nice little game to like change the pace a little, because like we normally do story heavy stuff and talk about deep, serious issues and junk, and now we just got to talk about minimalism and random junk.
And mobile games.
Light to Hell Retribution. Best game of all time.
Oh god, you just reminded me of Mario Run.
On.
You just reminded me of Mario Run.
I forgot that's coming out. Man, the mobile market is such a weird thing, because you can have stuff where you have your game both on Steam and on the mobile market. And it can be literally the exact same game on both of those, but the mobile one has to be cheaper because people are not going to pay like $20 for a phone game.
Oh yeah, people go absolutely nuts over the smallest of prices.
It's really weird. It's just like
That's because
if you saw a game
free
on Steam for $20, I guess it's just the way we consume stuff via phone. You don't expect to drop like a lot at once, and it's funny because some folks who won't pay like $20 for a base game would be willing to get a free game, but then gradually spend like $20 or more through little transactions here and there. So it's weird. There's probably someone could probably write a book on like the psychology of buying into these kind of things.
Basically,
it's a very
it's
differently
gambling.
perceived market. Not quite gambling, but a little bit. But sometimes.
The only good South Park episode we've had in the last 3 seasons was all about how freemium was complete horseshit.
I'm still mad at Overwatch loot boxes. I feel like I say that every month.
Yeah, stuff like that.
I missed out on some of the Halloween skins because I was going to buy them with the in-game credits you get just like through playing the game, but I didn't know it was going to lock off those skins after the time was up, so I'm like, shit.
You never played a mobile game before? They always
now.
Yeah, they always limit the time frame on events. If you're lucky, they may replay it someday.
Yep. I've seen enough people on my timeline fall victim to the Love Live School Idol Festival things, be like, I have to do this event now, and I need to buy gems. Gotta do it.
I'd make fun of them,
gotta feed your idols to your other idols to make them stronger.
I'd make fun of them, but I'm currently replaying events in that fucking Sailor Moon game, so what do I know?
I mean, I'm not making fun of them either. I've played Puzzles and Dragons and fed monsters to other monsters to make them stronger for way too long. Then way past the point where it stopped being fun. So.
So yeah, 140. Final thoughts.
Good stuff.
Tyrion Lannister out of 10. It's short.
That's a good score.
It's short, but it's really good.
There we go.
I like it because it's minimalist and it makes me feel like a pretentious asshole whenever I play it, because I think it's deeper than it actually is.
But it's also got the rhythm.
It's a metaphor for life.
It's actually a metaphor for the concept of God and religion. Because you see, what the artist is trying to do with this gigantic black square on a white canvas was to portray
2001: A Space Odyssey, and it's actually, I'm going. Here's my theory. It's actually a Dark Souls game.
It's the sequel that Joe Dirt deserves.
True. There we go.
There we go.
The Dark Souls of audio surf.
Yeah.
There it is.
Oh no, wait, that's Thumper.
Yeah.
There we go. I'll write that on Steam and then get retweeted by that Dark Souls bot that I have blocked. So.
I feel like one day I'm just gonna be like buying fruit at Sainsbury's or something, and I'm gonna find an odd-looking banana, and somebody's just gonna run up behind me and go, "Whoa, that's like the Dark Souls of bananas!"
A starfruit. You know, starfruit is like the Dark Souls of fruit, and then they just run off, and, collapse in Nile.
A pufferfish? That's the Dark Souls of sushi.
Because it can kill you. Some of my friends have made the joke, which is being a convict is like the Dark Souls of being alive.
God.
Alright.
What is Dark Souls the Dark Souls of?
Demon Souls.
Touche.
What is Demon Souls the Dark Souls of?
I don't
Dark
know,
Souls.
fucking Gauntlet or something. Who knows? Alright, with the deliberations complete on 140, Elmo, I believe it is you who has the next game.
I feel bad for making that Joe Dirt joke now, because we are actually playing the sequel to Joe Dirt.
Oh shit.
Joe
Literally.
Danger!
Oh shit.
That's actually a game.
Nice.
What?
Let's take a look. Oh god.
Hang on, I'm down to use my phone here.
Joe Danger. Oh, I want to know where you think it's going.
It looks like a Trials kind of thing.
Yeah, it's a cartoony kind of Trials game.
Oh yeah, I know what this is. I saw a review for it. This
fun.
is from the people who made No Man's Sky.
Yep. I was gonna save that for
Is
the
it
episode,
actually?
'cause yeah.
Oh wow. That's
So yeah,
weird.
we have a very limited time, because after this year ends, I think No Man's Sky becomes irrelevant. So
It's true.
so we're gonna have to just.
They've talked about they're releasing a patch soon, so maybe
on,
it'll placate the internet. Who knows?
Hang on, I need to check Steam real quick and see if I can actually play this.
You can.
Oh good, it's on sale. I'll have to snag it. Okay, let's see here.
No, don't. I saw that it was on sale, so I got it.
Oh shit! Thank you.
Yay.
Oh no.
Okay, I think my specs check out. Yeah,
I don't even need to check.
I should be able to play it.
We'll have a good time. And we'll see what's at the center of the universe in Joe Danger.
Oh no, wait, that's recommended. Okay, I should be good.
Yeah. Can we drift in this game though?
Ooh, I don't know.
There's
We're
the
gonna have to
notification.
find
Thank
out.
you.
Okay, and
I'm just gonna read this right here for the delivery thing. It just says H. For
Yeah,
the two.
I'm in a bit of
The
a
message
hurry.
just says J, and it's from F. It's amazing. Thank you.
No problem.
And We'll see you next time for Joe Danger, I guess. And before we leave, I like to close this off by reading something very special.
Oh no. Does this mean I cut the episode off before this part?
Don't worry, it's nothing that bad.
Okay.
Lily takes a new way home hoping to avoid further crotch trauma. Nope.
I see.
This is how someone chose to sell a game.
I see. Alright. See you next
Happy holidays,
I almost said
everyone.
next week, but we don't do these weekly. See you next whenever, party people.